Most people are much more worried about the return on their investments than their return on their experiences. But today's video is for those of us who want to optimize on life instead of optimizing on our bank accounts. Too many people live their lives on autopilot, without intention, driven by their work instead of their passions. If you want to take the road less traveled, the one that leads to more adventures, deeper relationships, and greater memories, then today's video is for you. Hi friends, I'm Asul. I help 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs, executives, and everyday millionaires like yourself live their best lives in retirements. You know, when you think about it, squandering our time should be a much bigger concern than squandering our money. Yet most people are much more worried about squandering their money. Most of us are familiar with the term return on investments, ROI. It's a financial measure of how hard our money and our investments are working for us. But I think ROE, return on experiences, is much more important. Return on experiences measures how much passion, excitement, and joy we get out of our experience. When you're in your 50s, would you rather have squeezed every last dollar out of your investments, or would you rather have squeezed all the joy and excitement out of life? For me, I'd much rather be making sure that I'm living my life to the fullest. Most people watching this video are likely pretty focused, ambitious, and hardworking. The financial things are likely going to work out. A much bigger risk for all of us is losing our passions in our lives. What are the things that get us excited? What are the things that make us excited, not just for tomorrow, but for the next several years? We have to foster and nurture those passions in us, because you know what? It's all too easy to forget about what those passions are. We get caught up in our jobs and in our responsibilities, and over time, it's easy to forget who we really are and to forget about those things that make us unique and excited for tomorrow. Passions are what keep us excited for the next chapter of our lives, and it's important that we nurture those and we fuel those. We're cognizant and intentional on what we're doing in order to find new passions and to continue the ones that we have. Too many people spend way too much time focusing on their investments and their savings, and they neglect their experiences that make them who they are. And over time, they find that they are rich in dollars, but they're poor in spirit, health, and excitement in life. And you don't want to have a deficit. You want to have a surplus there. You really want to maximize and optimize on life and maximize on your return on experiences. What are those experiences that keep you excited? You know, one of the problems is with your investments, it's easy to measure how you're doing. But with your return on experiences, with your joy and your passions, it's qualitative. It's hard to measure. And you really just have to look inside and say, how am I doing on this measure? How am I feeling? Am I excited about tomorrow? Or do I feel like I've lost that spark? And if you've lost that spark, much better to start investing on that now and giving yourself some experiences to reignite those passions. Because once those passions start to die out, they're hard to rekindle. Passions have a tendency to beget passion. When you have a few passions, it's a lot easier to gain some additional one and to be excited and to say yes to the next opportunity. All of us have a limited amount of time on earth, and how do we make the most of it? How do we keep our passions and excitement for life alive and thriving? So I say focus more on the ROE instead of the ROI, the returns on experiences. Remember, motivated, hardworking people like ourselves are likely going to retire with very healthy investment accounts. How rewarding our retirements are going to be are likely going to be based a lot more on our relationships, our activities, and the memories than on our bank account balance. What experiences are you postponing, and how could you weave those into your life today? Is there a trip that you've wanted to take, but maybe you haven't wanted to spend the money? Or is there a not-for-profit in town that you'd like to get more involved in, but you haven't taken the time? Or is there a hobby or a passion that you want to pursue? How can you weave that in now, include that during the journey, as opposed to over-focusing on work, over-focusing on saving and investing? You want to have this balance. And I think for most of us watching a video like this, we likely have on the spectrum skewed too far to one side, which is the working, saving, and investing side. And we need to invest in ourselves. So how do you get the time to pursue these activities, to pursue pursue your passions. And this is where you have to work with your team, work with your colleagues, work with your boss, and look at your life. Are there chapters in your life where it's easier to take time and do these types of things? An easy example is somebody going to graduate school. Can you take some time off before graduate school or after graduate school? But even if you're working in a company, maybe you've got a new job on your team, and maybe you can negotiate with your team to take some time off before taking on that new responsibility. Or if your company offers sabbaticals, maybe you can take advantage of that. And you may even have to say, you know what, next year, instead of negotiating for a 10% raise, maybe negotiate for more time off. If you think about it, each month you're paid is about 8% of your overall salary. So if you could negotiate an extra month of vacation instead of a 10% raise, that could be a win for you, and it could also be a win for the company. It gives you time, it saves the company money, and it gives you the time to explore some of these passions, and it gives your team members a chance to step up and do some of the responsibilities that right now you're handling. So it could be a win-win-win. But the short answer is, there is no short answer. You have to just negotiate it. It has to be a priority for you. It has to be a conversation that you're having with your company and with your team, and see how you might be able to weave this in. I would argue that if you're excited and passionate about life, you're going to get a lot more done in 11 months out of the year as opposed to 12 months out of the year. So weaving in these periods to pursue your passions, to keep that spark alive inside of you is really important for you, and it's important for your company. But the overarching point in all of this is, I really want you to think about optimizing for your return on your experiences as opposed to focusing too much time on your return on your investments. It's kind of the default for too many of us, and it comes with a cost, a pretty big cost, which is you could lose who you are. You could lose your passions, and you could wake up one day and say, what is this all for? Why am I doing this? Many of us have families, we raise our kids, but eventually, if we've done our jobs right, our kids are going off to college and they're starting their own lives. And so now it's you and your spouse. And what are the things that get you excited and passionate about the next chapter of your life? These aren't easy questions, but your future self will thank you for keeping yourself physically fit, mentally fit, and filled with passion and excitement for life. Okay, that's it. Thumbs for likes and subs for love. And be sure to watch my next video where I'm going to talk about some evidence-based techniques to keep your passions alive throughout the journey. It's something that I call mini retirements. Until next time, I'm Asul, encouraging you to take full advantage of the youth of your senior years. Remember, you're only young once. Use this time wisely.